Hey kids, welcome back to Timber and Stone. This is my epilogue, if you will, my finality, my game review, once over of the game. It's going to give you my impressions and some of the things I've learned, that sort of thing. There's something that you have to be aware of on this game. You have all your loaded games, all your save games. Uh, in order to delete these, you have to go in through Steam. You have to disable the ability for Steam to track this information. You have to look it up on the forums as to how to do it. I can't show it to you because my recording software doesn't seem to want to record the Steam thing. It's a lot of work to actually get rid of these because, heaven forbid they should put a thing in here that says just delete that game because it's a dead game. The game doesn't play. See? Another thing is you can't exit to title. You have to exit game and start again. So I'm going to push this, the game's going to shut down, and then I'll pick it back up in a minute. All right. Well, we're back again. That's two of my biggest complaints about the game. Now I'm going to go and start loading a new game. And I'm going to go into here. Now, there's a problem with the hostile mobs. Believe it or not, a large game map is easier to play than a small game map. Because what happens is, no matter how big your map is, it only generates a certain number of hostiles at any one time. A larger map means you have more surface area for them to spawn through. Where a small map, you get the same number of guys. They spawn on the edges of the map. They work their way in, and they get to you a lot faster. A small map, you will end up being under siege more frequently and almost continuously. Where a large map, you will have breaks and pauses between various attacks. However, when your enemy groups attack, they could be larger because they've had more time to band together. So we're going to pause here for a second, and we'll pick it up as soon as I get into the next thing. Here's one of the next things that I've had a lot of issue with. Your world map starting location. As you can see, it starts you out, it just generates this giant world map for you to pick a spot in. Why they have this in the game, I have no idea. But you'll also notice that they have several areas that are listed. Tundra, desert, swamp, that kind of thing. Honestly, I have never seen a swamp or a desert. Tundra very rarely on top of mountains. So it'll be black with then a little white peak on it, like there kind of thing. This map is I don't understand the purpose of this except maybe to try to determine the basic features that you're going to look for in your map generation. So I'm going to generate up a map here, and then I'll carry on. And I'm just going to randomly click. Actually, I want to click, if I can. I'm going to pick a spot here, and I'm going to just start up. And I want to try and get it close to some of these rivers here. Now here's my final complaint about the game, and that is the actual speed of which it plays at. The game itself, really, it's not a fast-paced game. If you like slow city building, micromanaging type games, this game is perfect for you. I personally have some minor issues with it, but other than that, I mean, it's a lot of fun. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of hints and tips here. Now, you'll see this dark gray or dark black zone around the edge of the map. This is the area where hostiles will spawn in. So when you build close to that area, you got to remember that hostiles will spawn in here. Now, one of the things I found about this game is you've got to be aware of defensive abilities and water is your friend. So what you're looking for is an area where you have very limited access to the edge of the map and water between you and the primary, your primary base. So basically you're trying to use water as a natural defensive barrier to prevent hostiles from coming in. So building out here in the middle of the field would be great, except you have a lot of surface area that hostiles will spawn and come to you. Having an island like this means that it's defended, and it's like easily defended on two sides anyway. The edge of the map is here, which is good. So this little island right here is perfect for starting up your new build. It's defended on three sides by water, which means anything coming into it has to fight through water to get to it. It's fairly flat. There's a good rocky outcropping. I like having hills. Although the height and terrain advantage don't really add anything, it's nice being able to tunnel into a hill to build and continue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plop down my starting wagon near just near the river's edge here, and we're going to turn off the tutorials. Now a lot of players, I suggest, if you're getting new at the game, the tutorials don't, well, they help sort of, but not a lot. Okay, so start the game, and then we'll be now normally you start with 8 characters, I believe. 2, 4, 6, 8 guys. Ranging in skills and things. Normally what I do is I'll slap everybody into Forager for the first little bit, and Woodcutter and Miner, and dig and start laying out where I'm going to build and start scrounging resources and make sure I got food. Now food is a huge thing to take care of. Wood is also something you're going to need a lot of early on. And stone. Before you get anywhere else on your thing, you have to get a stockpile of stone going, because you start out using stone tools for quite a long while until you can secure some good iron resources. And you'll probably keep using stone tools no matter what you do. Now, I'm not really going to get too carried away on this build or doing anything on this site here. Just showing you some setup, and I'm going to pause here and exit out, and I'll load up another game, and I'll show you some tactical things that I have discovered and have read about that will help. Before I do, I'm going to show a few things here that I can show very easily on this. For example, one of the complaints I had early on was that you couldn't build, I'll just grab this. You couldn't build something. For example, you click here and it's like, okay, I just want to build a box like this. Oh, but I only wanted it to be a certain shape. You have the ability, and it took a while to learn this, but if you push and hold Shift and Alt, I believe, it will allow you to delete out things that you don't want. But you have to have the original or the same thing selected. So I built with timbered brick. I had timbered brick selected. Push and hold Shift and Alt at the same time, and then click and drag that out. You can remove things. That's how you fix mistakes and oopses. It's kind of counterintuitive. It's a little frustrating, but yeah. So that would summarize all of the drawbacks I have found with the game. The AI is something that I really I don't particularly care for. The AI scripts that these guys have is a little difficult, but I do have some stuff that I will talk about later, to ideas that somebody else could add into the game perhaps and make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, so I'm going to pause here and I'll be right back. All right, welcome to a world that I've been playing and having a little bit more fun with, because everything hasn't gone to heck in a handbasket on me. Again, I'm going to go over a couple of tips that I have picked up and found work really, really well. As I said, build so that you're protected with water, and you're fairly close to a starting, like you select your starting location on a fairly defendable location. This island I'm on is actually similar to the one I just looked at. I am surrounded by water on all sides. There we go. You can see I have water around all over the place. Now, one of the things you want to be aware of is enemies can't climb a too high fence. So to prevent wolves and stuff from getting into your sheep pens or your livestock corrals, build too high, not just one, but too high fences. That slows them down. I found building smaller houses, like normally I like to build like a large town hall first and say, okay, here's my town hall, dig in the mountains, here's my storerooms, that kind of thing. I found that plan doesn't work very well on this game. You actually start out, set up your thing. The area that they call a hall, if you click on your drop down menu and it says hall, this area, think of it more of a communal marketplace than a hall. It's where your traders are going to come, it's where your new recruits are going to come, and all that sort of thing. It has to be accessible by road from the outside. So that's something to be thinking about. What I tend to do, or what I found is working, is to build smaller houses. Now, I have mentioned before that a slider, a level slider, an indicator, something that you could scroll like that would be really nice. Also having the ability to mouse over to the edges and scroll the map a little bit more effectively, like to adjust that sensitivity would be nice. I'm not a WASD kind of keyboard person. I always find that very annoying. But that's another complaint. Performance issue, I think it's more related to my computer than to the game. Okay. Another tactic I picked up was build a small house, designate it for one type of task. Like this is a house I'm going to have as a farmer's house. This is a house I'm having as a house for the loom, what do you call it, tailor guy, which has the tools in there that he would need. There we go. This house here I'm building for guys to log. Now, just start out small and work your way in. Don't try to build big right off the top. You'll get overwhelmed. Also, let your guys wander. If any of your guys are wandering, make sure they're equipped with bows. All your units, no matter who, should be carrying a weapon of some sort. Like this guy here is equipped with, supposed to be maintaining bow and arrows. He doesn't have one on him for some reason. I think it's because I don't have any bows. All your units should be always equipped with a weapon, because you have hostiles will still track into you, and it's handy to be able to actually stop them, to kill them. So do that fairly early on. Make clubs. Wooden clubs are your friend. One other issue I have is the amount of food required. It says that there's supposed to be 40 food per person, but I'm really beginning to think it's not 40 food, but actually like this says food, but if you click on a food chest or storage unit, it says it holds 40 mass. Like this one says 15, it holds 15. I actually believe this is the number that they're using for the food that you require per person, which means you could need to store, to get a new person, you need to store thousands of units of food. To me, that's a little, it's not game breaking, but it's really putting more emphasis on your farming aspects and your food collection aspects than I think is required. Realistically, it should be able to state that if you have over X amount of inventory of food, if you have over X amount of inventory of food, that it will say, okay, you're producing more than you're consuming, allow more guys into town. If your production is falling, like you're not producing more than you're consuming, and your production falls, then the AI counts it and says no. It needs to calculate your food, not your food storage, but your food production. That's a minor thing, but something that I think could deserve to be changed out. Now, something else that I would like to suggest, if somebody's looking at changing this, is a modification to the AI scripts. For example, I have here a farmer. His tool breaks and he just sits there, stands there and goes, "Without a hoe, one cannot farm." And it's irritating. What I would like to suggest is that they have the ability to assign a secondary AI script. So farming would be his primary AI script, and then say, for example, stonemason would be his secondary AI script. So what would happen is when he's farming and his hoe breaks, he would simply hit his AI script would then go and say, okay, is there a hoe in inventory? No. He would give the where he would normally then give the I can't farm, I have no work to do, I cannot do any work. He would then say, okay, and then load up his stonemason AI script and say, is there any work I can do in this script? And then automatically go over, craft himself a new stone hoe. Or however many you have listed to be made. I try to keep about 2 or 3 once I actually have a good stockpile of stone. Try and keep a couple of everything. So yeah, I would send him over and say, go make a new stone hoe. He makes a stone hoe. He then goes and says, is there any work? Run through his work list loop again, but he would start with the farmer work list loop, and it would say, oh, I now have access to a hoe. Takes the hoe, goes back to farming, resumes what he was doing. Now this would work with any 2 of the AI scripts. Basically, if I had a miner, for example, I could take a miner and secondary script a builder. So I need to dig a foundation out and then start building a location for a build. I could say, dig this area out and then build these walls. That would make it so that he would dig. He would then say, I have no more digging to do. And then he would start building. You wouldn't have to keep switching them back and forth between one and the other. That would be a nice improvement, I think, to the game. Just a minor change, but it would be a nice improvement. Just kind of add to the loop the ability to have a secondary AI script. The AI scripts themselves are nice. I like the way that all works. Something else that I think would be kind of nice, not really major change or anything, but have the ability to save save a building. For example, if I build say this building here, this house here, had it all finished, and said, I want to keep this house so that I can just duplicate it. You just highlight around it, draw some kind of a selection box around it, and then boom, you save it in your local file, and you can just cut and paste and rotate and replace that house exactly the same. Just replace it again and replace it again, replace it again. And your guys would come in and they would start building the house exactly the way it's built. As the material shows up, they just build it like normal, because they can only build from the bottom up. They would actually continue doing that. That would be another nice improvement to the game. Overall, I'd say this is a good game. It's a lot of fun to play. Like I said, it's the block by block building and the ability to design your own buildings with just one block at a time. These kind of games are a lot of fun. I do like them, but I find what tends to happen, for me anyway, is that the game itself, it does get kind of grindy sometimes. It becomes slow. This game has moments, as you saw in one of my episodes, where you sit there and do nothing for a while you wait for something else to happen. That's with most games, but I found that happens a lot with this game. You're waiting and waiting and waiting, and that can kind of detract from the gameplay itself. I don't know if there's a way to make it a little bit more interesting, or even if there was just a way to tell it to speed up a little bit faster. Basically calculate its processes at 3 or 4 times the speed. Eliminate some of its animations, something like that. That would just kind of speed it up. Yeah, so that would be it for my epilogue of this game. My review of the game. It is fun. It's a lot. It can be a lot of challenge, and it can be a lot of fun. I will probably continue playing off camera on this little one periodically from time to time. You're looking, it's day 12, and I've been playing this for about 2 months now. And I'm at this point. Not this one particular map, but the game in total. And I've got one piece here that's good. So thank you all for watching, and have yourself a great day. And I do recommend this game for you to play it if you're into this kind of building thing. So talk to y'all later, kids. I'll see you on the next series. Bye now.